makapag-vlog at magkaroon ng followers.
Hindi ko nga sinasabing ikaw, pero may mga ibang sikat na social media personality na hindi naman talaga sila nagsusulat ng kanilang mga ibang sinasabi. Siguro meron pa natutunguhan. Pero alam ko si RJ, siya talaga siguro ganun din siya magsalita Pero yung iba,
hindi ko po alam. Sila po yung magpaliwanag. Pero yun nga, pwede naman po nilang ipakita yan in good faith and in the public interest.
So sinasabi mo ba dapat hiwalay na pag ikaw ay may sariling blog, wag ka dapat under the PCOO?
Or a government employee?
Oo.
Ganun ba?
Hindi po, karapatan po nating lahat yung magpahayag.
Okay lang sa'yo?
Okay lang po yun, basta halimbawa meron pong proseso at procedures yung gobyerno sa kanyang staff at employees. Meron naman pong code of conduct for government employees.
Can I interrupt you on that? When do you say that there's conflict of interest when you're a blogger and at the same time a government employee? Or is there? Dumadating ba sa pagkakataon na may conflict of interest?
Yes, sir. Yes, Madam
When
Chair.
do you say?
For example, if let's use as Assistant Secretary Uson as an example. Assistant Secretary Uson has no right to use public funds, public time, and the public office from which to write on her blog, or to use any government platform to publicize her blog. At the same time, she cannot disclose official business principally on her blog. Kasi dapat on official platform yun. Bagay na sinabi naman ni Secretary Andanar. So, dahil walang malinaw na protocol yung ating government, walang malinaw na code of conduct sa paggamit ng social media, sa pag-identify ng sino talaga yung gumagamit nito, nagkakaproblema. Napakasimple nga po nung halimbawa, meron po tayong mga agency na ang chairman, meron siyang personal account, ang spokesperson may personal account. Pag alis po nila sa opisina, dahil personal accounts yung gamit nila, magsisimula na naman yung bagong spokesperson saka bagong chairman ng bagong Twitter or Facebook account. Walang institutional account kasi ginawa nilang personal.
Nagdadagdag sa kalituhan.
Nagdadagdag sa kalituhan, tapos conflict of interest, ginamit nila yung posisyon nila para mag-grow ng audience, mag-grow ng followers.
No. You're coming up with the premise here. So, on the one hand, you support freedom of expression. It's the right of everyone. But on the other hand, I think that you should make a supreme sacrifice and have to give up certain privileges, especially if your communications. Diba? Because you have to have one particular direction. Diba? Ay siguro, kung sa ibang ahensya ng gobyerno, customs ka, meron ka sariling Facebook, hindi naman kasi communications pero PCOO, tapos may sarili, parang yun lang yung nakakalito, no? Either sa private sector siya, so she can continue her, what do you call this, unabashed or whatever way of promoting certain thought, or she has to abide by a certain direction in government, di ba? And I'm not just speaking about Ms. Uson, but anyone else, especially in PCOO. So yun siguro, Mr. Cruz. In closing, kasi I want to hear
last point, ma'am,
Mr. Lopez,
Madam Chairman.
and then go ahead.
One big contribution that the Senate and the government could give, isang malaking kontribusyon na mabibigay ng Senado saka ng Malacanang, ay magkaroon ng malinaw na policy na ibaba nila ang hate speech, ang bullying, cyberbullying, ang name-calling, racism at other discriminatory na speech sa mga official government platforms. And to encourage their supporters na gawin din yon. Kasi kung hinahayaan ng PCOO ito sa mga plataforma ng gobyerno, ibig sabihin okay lang, gagayahin yan, nawiwili, hinahayaan. So ganun din sana sa lahat ng social media ng gobyerno, dapat malaya against intimidation and harassment yung pag-post ng comments. Pwede yung parties, not necessarily abusive and harmful.
Actually, you know what, Mr. Cruz, thank you for raising that. I agree. Let's be honest here. The president and his style, being straightforward, is exactly the reason why the people voted for him. They didn't want the superficial
Phony.
decorum of certain
Yeah. Phony and
government
shallow.
individuals na pinagmamalaki, disente sila pag hinaharap, pero alam mo naman sa likod nantitira rin. Nakita din natin yon. On the other hand, there's also that syempre you already assume the mandate, and it's also a chance to be able to spread the proper way of acting. I think you can certainly do that. As you said, Miss Badoy, diba, you're also affected by other people being hurt. That it's good to know that you are sensitive also, that you have compassion. It certainly wouldn't be bad for us to treat each other kindly. Diba? Parang a lot of we can go a long way by respect and by being kind. After a while, it becomes so tiresome and so anti-productive also if we're always combative with each other. Mr. Lopez, would you like to add to our discussion? Any thoughts on what we've discussed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, nagpunta ako rito para malinawan dito sa fake news, pero parang lalo akong naguluhan. At alam nyo, sa isang ordinaryong mamamayan, ang fake news parang mali din nga ho yung term. Tama si Professor David na mali ho yung term na fake news. Dahil ito naman nung nangyayari sa atin, lalo na sa social media, is more of opinion making, and sinasabi nyo po yung nararamdaman nyo. And social media, yung mga tinatawag po na vloggers, they are only as good as their last post. At di ko lang ma-gets, bakit po dito sa hearing, parang nag-focus po tayo dun sa messenger, at wala ho yata nag-ano dun sa message. Dahil yung mga vloggers ho na yan, kaya ho nagkaroon ng mga following, kasi ho nagre-resonate yung kanilang mga sinasabi sa mga ordinaryong tao.
I agree, tama yon. Ilan po yung followers niyo, Mr. Lopez? Kayo?
Ako po, minor lang po ako, 35,000 lang po.
Next time, pagkatapos itong hearing, 70 ka na.
Hindi actually, ayoko akong tawagin na followers yung mga sumusunod sa akin, because I don't have that delusion po na ako ay sinusundan. Ang sa akin ho, nagre-resonate lang ho yung sinusulat ko, and then, you know, the evolution of social media is now the revolution. Facebook is now the new EDSA. And ang mga ordinaryong tao po, sinasabi ko nga, and then I take exception nga do sa study na present ni Ms. Reza, na parang state-sponsored ang patriotic trolling. Hindi naman ho yan limited din, tama yung sinabi ni Asik Badoy. Yan hong patriotic trolling, hindi lang naman sa sinatawag nilang Pro Duterte. Even the opposition has its own trolling.
No, I agree. And you know what? Also, I think it's unfair to say na puro mga trolling lang. Marami doon, they firmly believe in what they're saying, which could be sad, you know, for some of us who feel it's
yun
not
nga po, yung fake news, matagal na ho yan even before social media came into play. Ang fake news po, mag-advertise lang ang isang fast food na ang ganda-ganda ng picture ng hamburger nila, pero pag binili mo yung hamburger, flat na wala naman talagang laman. Is that fake news?
Ngayon kasi may hate
Well,
so much hate na you wouldn't believe, for example, somebody would tell you na ma-rape ka sana, yung anak mo mamatay.
Opo, Senator, I agree na meron pong hate. But, again po, I think nasa sa tao din naman yan na ang problema kasi natin, yung masyado tayong galit dun sa vlogger, pero dapat to siguro tinitingnan natin yung message niya at bakit to yung maraming tao na nakaka-relate. Ngayon, kung sobra naman ho ang hate,
Simple lang naman ho. Patayin natin yung ating, turn off natin yung ating gadgets. But again, the point is, ang hindi ko lang din ho, ano, yung tinatawag nyo dito or yung trying to control social media, actually po, sa mga vloggers din, meron naman yung tinatawag na accountability, lalo na kung humaharap kami na personal. Ako, personal akong nagsusulat. Pangalan ko ho yun. Kaya naglalagay ho ako ng itsura ko. At pag meron ho akong kausap, sinasabi ko, gusto mo, magkita tayo. Meron na nga akong mga hinarap sa kabilang bakod. Dahil pinakita ko, dahil nga ho, I take a section ho
Ano
doon talaga.
nangyari pag nagkikita kayo? Nako-convince mo na nagsusuntok
Well,
kayo?
hindi naman ho kami aabot sa violence. But again, ang point ko lang po is that pinapakita ko sa kanila na hindi ho ako paid troll. Kanina ho, binanggit ni Mr. Cruz na may uma-attend kami ng mga government functions. Pero ako, nagbabayad ako ng pamasahe ko papunta ron.
Sir, ano po yung trabaho ninyo aside from being a vlogger na pinagkakitaan ninyo?
Ma'am, ako po ay small-time trader lang po and meron lang po akong cafe and car wash. Dati ho akong executive ng isang oil company at itong pagpunta ko sa Facebook, nag-start on 2013 when Yolanda hit our country. And doon lang po nung marami ho akong mga sinusulat, nagkaroon ho ng following. But again, sabi ko nga po,
May pamilya po kayo, single kayo?
pa,
May pamilya kayo, single?
meron po, I have 4 daughters po.
So, huwag na natin banggitin muna yung pangalan dito.
Eh,
Ano nilalabas mo sa vlog mo?
Open po ako. Kasi nga ho, wala akong tinatago eh. Kaya kung sinasabi ko na accountability, kami naman ho, lahat naman nang nakikita nyo siguro sa mga vloggers, humaharap naman po. Kaya, at ang maganda po niyan, at that moment na tinira kayo, o nasaktan kayo ng vlogger na yon, pwede nyo naman harapin eh. Pwede naman ho kayo mag-send ng message. Pwede nyo sagutin, pwede kayo mag-comment. Ang
Pero
problema ho, pagka binablock kayo.
Pero kayo ngayon, well, of course, you believe in the president, okay? But have you said anything critical about the administration?
Yes, I have been bashed by mga group dahil
Particular topic.
po yung I called the attention of Malacanang po dun sa pictorial ng granddaughter.
Okay.
I was bashed. But I
By-
took it in stride po. I took everything ho.
Sino nag-bash sa'yo nakilala?
Mga ano ho, mga ordinaryong tao, mga kasi ho ito nga ang problema sa atin ngayon eh. Ang tao natin, ang mga ordinaryong mamayan, engaged ho ngayon. Sobrang engaged po. Kaya makikita po natin na itong Facebook, according to the study nga, 60 million ng Filipino users ng Facebook, talagang ano ho yan, dadagsayin ka, dudumugin ka, pag meron ka hong hindi magandang sinabi sa isang tao, not only with the president, but pagka naman doon ka sa kabilang bakod, ganun din naman no, dudumugin ka rin ang mga kabilang bakod. So
Actually-
it's actually both ways po eh.
Mr. Lopez, thank you. I appreciate your honest insight. First, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Senator Nancy Binay. But, you know, before I would like to, before we continue, no, I want to ask another blogger here to comment, and then I would like to hear from Miss Lauria, because she's also been victimized, but she's also been very blunt about certain issues. So we'd like to hear her in the flesh here in the hearing. So, your name again, ma'am? I'm sorry, I can't see your name, please. No, you raising your hand. You, yes. Miss Jane, please go ahead, Blog Watch.
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair. I've been a blogger since 2006, and I've been online even before that time. And social media was not yet around when I started blogging. My circle of bloggers then were just blogging for the passion and the desire to speak our minds. None of us were in the political arena. So, at that time, we saw social media from the very beginning. And this was sometime 2007 or 2008 when we got into Twitter and Facebook. And when 2009 came around and we were looking at the 2010 automated elections, a group of us realized that we could use that social media and harness it for something good. And so we came together as BlogWatch. We were a very loose group of people. We were not even blogging about politics. We were food, travel, mommy bloggers like my colleague here, Noemi. Travel, lifestyle.
Can you tell me what in your group has the highest number following? What name? What blog? Mommy Blogger is her name? Women Who Lunch? What?
Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Is there a particular blog that? Can you give me a name of the one of the blog that is part of your group?
Oh, the original group, we were about 16 or 19 bloggers.
No, but you have your individual blogs.
But we are
correct?
yes, we have individual
so which blog
blogs.
in your group has the most number following, and give me the name of that blog, just so we can relate if maybe we've come across it.
Okay, maybe Mom Blogger.
Mom Blogger. Okay.
Yeah.
How many followers?
It depends on which platform because she has followers. She may want to answer.
Ma'am, how many?
Depends. If it's my food blog, it's 800,000 in Facebook. If it's Twitter, it's around 24,000.
800,000 in food blog.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Okay.
In Facebook.
So what's the newest food recommendation? Never mind. Let's talk about that later on. Go ahead.
So when set up, we for vote, we were trying to network. Eventually, we transformed. After the 2010 elections, when we were able to interview some of the presidentiables and the senatoriables, and I think some of those here were interviewed by our group, we realized that, as citizens, we had a voice already, and we saw that on social media. And so that's the reason why we stayed on, and we stayed on social media, because we wanted to get into citizen engagement. And that's what I'm really trying to emphasize now, because when people talk about bloggers bashing and doing hate speech, I really feel very bad about it, because we came from a world where we wanted to use our networks to do something good. And we felt
to
that
be
that
part
was
of your organization, ma'am, do you have an ethical standard or
Yes.
an agreement? Give me an example. That's something
okay,
we want
we
to
started
hear.
out with our domain name, which was blogwatch.ph. That was when we were hosted under the Philippine Online Chronicles or Vibal Foundation. Now we are continuing it under a new domain name, blogwatch.tv, although you will still see our archives from blogwatch.ph there. So we're now a blog. We've got our disclaimers. We have our corrections policy. We have listed down who are the people who form part of our editorial board. And even if we do not have what we call, we are not bound by the journalistic standards, because we don't claim to be journalists. We're not trained to be journalists, but we impose it on ourselves. And the reason we do that is because we cannot separate our identity as a citizen advocate from our identity as a mommy blogger or as a food blogger. Why? Because we need to retain that sense of credibility. The only thing we have that will make us continue to be read by our readers is the reputation of saying what is true. If we start saying things which are not true, even if it was not in the realm of politics, hindi na kami babasahin. Nobody will look at us anymore. So that is very important to us. And that is the reason why our blogwatch.tv site has all of these policies.
Okay,
Yeah.
to our viewers and listeners, don't forget that, what's the name?
Blogwatch.tv. You can look at it right now.
Blogwatch.tv.
Yes.
And I mentioned this
Chair.
because we go to, with due respect, just 1 minute. We go to a particular site for different reasons. We want accurate news, or we want to be entertained, or we want to connect. So it depends. Diba? If you want credible news, accurate news, at least we know that a group is trying to be accountable in that way. But the truth is, bloggers are popular precisely because they're just entertaining. Or, I don't want to have to advertise, but sometimes when you're in the Senate, you're in a very controlled environment. Okay? Unless you go out of your way to visit your constituents, you tend to be incubated from what's happening. And I thought that I was a worldly person, but apparently not. And then I realized the clamor of people and also their discontent. until I watched this particular blogger, who's, by the way, against me during the campaign, but I found rather entertaining because he spoke like a lot of friends that I have from showbiz. Okay? So I took what he said with a grain of salt, but I am entertained, and I visit, I visit the site every now and then, and I think that he's more, other people are like telling me, how can you possibly even praise this person? It's not that, but you have to also realize the mindset. We are not a homogeneous group. There are people who are so different from us. I mean, the AB crowd, the CD, but we have to harmonize ourselves into a particular ideal. I think that decency, accountability, respect, kindness, these are the things that we should espouse, no matter who we believe in politically. And maybe this is not the forum for it, but as a mother, as a woman, as a Filipino, I think that it will do us more good to be able to maintain that standard. So maybe that's all we can say, because as I said, it's almost like containing in a particular in a bucket of water an entire ocean. We can't possibly do that, but perhaps if we just hold ourselves accountable and we set an example, like, sir, you talk about 35,000 people. That's a lot of people. You cannot possibly you cannot possibly have a stadium with that. Maybe Mall of Asia, or the Philippine Arena. But 35,000 times how many? That's how many you influence. Just by being kind in a post will make the day of a person different. Will make a person look at his day differently, and the person in front of him differently. So maybe we can have that ripple effect. We don't want to police. The Senate, we're not even capable of legislating, much more implementing. That's not within our purview. So anyway, before I give a sermon and digress, I will give this to Senator Nancy Binay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, gusto ko lang ho itanong, ilan ho yung members ng BlogWatch?
Okay, our core group now, we're only 5. We're only 5. And most of the time now, if we are not writing, we are actually active on social media, mostly Twitter, under our individual accounts.
But aside from BlogWatch, meron pa ho bang ibang grupo similar to yours?
Well, we hope so. Actually, one of the things that we're there are bloggers in different regions, and what we're really doing now is we're really trying to create this mindset of digital citizenship, which is, as a citizen, you have a voice and you have the potential to use that voice for good. And so that's what we're trying to ripple out. Just to answer the question, we are very thankful to Senator Grace that you said that you're not there to, police, but we do understand that there has to be some self-policing. So it's not going to come from the outside. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this awareness down to the young ones who are still in school, that they should try to use their social media and their blogging responsibly and to be responsible citizens. So that is where we're coming from. We're not for more legislation, but we're for education and media literacy. And if I can just turn it over to Noemi for a while, if you will allow us, just for final words.
Just a final word, no? Because we have been trying to engage with the senators for the past years, and we have engaged with Senator Bam Aquino, among others, and I think JV Ejercito. So I would request if the senators and congressmen could also sit down with us and understand that there are various communities in the blogging community, and we want to use social media for good. And lastly, we are a diverse group of bloggers. Even in own BlogWatch, nag-aaway-away kami because we have different views. In fact, Coca used to blog for us in the past, up to 2013. Yeah. Pardon?
You said he was part of your group, but did you let him go?
He left because he worked for PCOO under Secretary Colon at that time.
So he gave up his personal blog.
He gave up writing for BlogWatch because of conflict of interest.
But did he still have his own blog
I
then?
think Pro Pinoy. And he had Kokoy Chronicles. And that's not the way he writes. He doesn't write in Tagalog. I know, I've seen him write for many years. He doesn't write Tagalog.
So, which particular article didn't you think he wrote?
The one that you've been posting, he was just sharing an article. That's why I am really imploring that you sit down with us and understand the bloggers in our community. We have a diverse group of bloggers. Where there are Duterte supporters, there are neutral bloggers, there are there are yellows. So, we are not just a homogeneous group of bloggers.
No, that's why, ma'am, I understand. That's why we wanted him to be here, so that he
I
can
don't know where he
clarify
is.
that. Diba? Why wouldn't he want to be here if he had nothing to hide? I mean, it would have been his chance to defend himself, diba? Okay, Tonya, let me give you the floor.
Si Kokoy po, kaibigan ko po yung vlogger. Matagal na po kami magkakilala. At magkalaban po kami yan sa politika. Magkalaban po kami yan. At pero dito po sa akusasyon ng mga DDS vloggers na finid po sa inyo, I'm sorry, Senator, pero baka po na-mislead po kayo ng mga taong nag-inform sa inyo tungkol dito sa Kokoy Gate. Humihiling po ako sa inyo na magpatawag po kayo ng mga domain name registrar, mga web administrator, na hindi connected dito sa pinag-uusapan natin, para po mabigyan kayo ng unvarnished truth. Kasi halimbawa ako, dahil wala naman po akong pakialam dun sa mga websites na in-identify nitong mga informants po ng mga senador, sa palagay ko po, kahit kanino po, pwede akong kumuha ng domain name. Pwede po akong kumuha ng hosting. Pero wala po silang pakialam dun sa magiging laman ng blog ko. Kaya halimbawa, kahit po mapatunayan nila by some hocus-pocus na si Kokoy Dayaw ang web administrator, domain name registrar at Google AdSense owner ng mga blogs na ito, wala po ni isa silang mapapakita sa inyo na katunayan na siya yung author nun, na siya yung nagsulat.
Oh nga, no, with all due respect, of course, you just have to
Madam
defend your friend. As you know, you said you know him, but it's more expedient for him to be here. Diba? And to speak for himself. Miss Bana, I mean, diba, maraming tumitira kay Asek Mocha, pero nagpakita siya dito. Nagpakita siya sa hearing, naglakas loob, humarap kay Senator Trillanes. Si Hover, maraming tumitira sa kanya, naglakas loob, pumunta rito. Ikaw, Tonyo, maraming tumitira sa'yo. Pero nandito ka pa rin, di ba? So, kung kaya ninyo na magpapasa ng opinyon sa sarili ninyong vlog, kayo man ang nagsulat, pero pinayaan ang posibilidad pakita. So,
yes, Madam. Before going to Ms. Jover here, I'd like to address Brother Tonyo, since the PCOO was mentioned a while ago. And it seems that Tonyo was referring to the PCOO as someone who, as an agency who should have a policy to dictate upon SASOT, on Thinking Pinoy, on everyone on every Duterte supporter. What is very clear here is we don't dictate what they write on social media. PCOO and its line agencies are clear with what we want. We go to the countryside through PCONet. We meet with information officers, both information officers, both from government, from the private sector, because sabi po natin, ang fake news at lahat ng responsibilidad po ng komunikasyon ng programa ng gobyerno at yung gagawin po natin ay hindi namin kaya lang na kami-kami lang. So we reached out for the past months po mula nung August po. Si Secretary Martin Andanar, kami po ay nag-iikot sa buong bansa, sharing this kind of program po na pati mga estudyante and our information officers sa local government units we should be responsible sharers of information. And of course, to self-regulate ourselves. And for PCOO to dictate, it was being implied a while ago na PCOO ang dapat magdikta kung ano ang dapat nilang sinusulat. In fact, Thinking Pinoy would always call us out. And the secretary, any one of us here, had been, of course, called out. Even Thinking Pinoy had called me out several times also. And of course, we cannot control that kasi opinion nila yon. So, may it be clear sa hearing po na ito na we don't accept, we don't allow Duterte supporters to inflict or make comments, hate comments, bring up hate comments on social media or bash kung sino man yung mga opposition ng ating administrasyon. So I hope we are clear with that.
Madam Senator,
Yes
pwede po
po.
bang sumagot ng mabilis? Wala po akong sinasabi na dinidiktahan po ng PCOO ang mga vloggers ng DDS. Ang sinabi ko po kanina, may claim po si Secretary Andana na wala siyang kilala sa mga to. Hindi niya po kilala itong mga to. Pero marami na pong ulit. First name basis pa po sila. Kilala po nila to. Yung mga taong to na
Madam.
nagpapatakbo ng mga websites at Facebook
Madam
pages.
Chair. Madam
Kaya, wala po akong sinasabi na dinidictate nila. Ang sinasabi ko lang, ilang beses lang sinabi ng secretary na assets itong mga to ng administrasyon. Ilang beses po nilang nakausap ang Pangulo at ilang beses po silang nag-meeting sa Malacanang. So, imposible pong hindi kilala ni Secretary Andanar. So, sana maipakilala ng secretary itong mga to sa Senado kasi marami nagsasabi sa kanila galing yung fake news dun sa mga Facebook page na yan
Siguro, Secretary Andanar, may listahan ho ba kayo ng mga empleyado na vloggers? Because, for example, si Thinking Pinoy was apparently hired as a consultant by DFA. May ganun ho ba kayang database kung sino dito sa mga vlogger ang tumatanggap ng pera sa government? Because I think na-mention din kanina na yung Kokoy Dayaw pala, apparently during the time of President Noynoy was also hired by PCOO. So, may ganun ho ba tayo ngayon?
Madam Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity. Ang alam ko lang po is si RJ Nieto was hired by the DFA and then he resigned during the first fake news hearing here in the Senate. Gusto ko rin pong klaruhin at gusto kong malinawan po si Tonyo na I was referring to the Duterte Facebook pages on the screen. So I said I don't know who are running these either websites or Facebook accounts. Now, with the guests of the president during the bloggers' Christmas party, of course, kilala ko yung ilan doon, pero hindi lahat. And I can invite Tonyo to go to my office and we can identify them one by one. I've always been open, even Mom Blogger and Jane, they're open to go to my office. Everyone, no one's, wala namang ano dito. Hindi, we have an open office. Even Jover can go there. Be like, no, she writes negative things about me, but
You will invite them?
of course, yeah.
Okay,
Siguro
that's
just
good.
to, so wala kayong consultant na vloggers or
Wala po.
You know,
parang Kokoy Dayaw during the time
Wala
of the
po sa
previous
PCO, wala
government?
po.
you know what I think, Secretary Andanar, it's this. I may believe, that perhaps there's no monetary exchanges here with your bloggers because they would like to align with a very popular president whom they supported. That in itself is equity for them, with or without any financial exchanges. On the other hand, again, I will appeal to your office to set the standard. Since they're your friends, they have the freedom to express what they want to say, but they will also take perhaps your inputs on how they should conduct themselves, especially when they're very popular and they can set the tone also for national debate. Sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a matter of fact, in 2017, we had a bloggers forum at the University of the Philippines, and we invited the different influential bloggers to attend so that we may able to craft a social media policy. And there were a few who attended. I think you went there, Mom Blogger, Jane. I don't know if Tonyo, did you go there, Tonyo? We invited you during that time. Yeah, you were invited.
I didn't receive any invitation.
Okay. So we did invite, so we even invited Maria Ressa, and you sent a representative. So, pwede po tayong gumawa ng social media policy with the leadership of Senator Grace Poe.
No,
Kasi
no,
pag kami po yung, pag kami po,
Leave me out of it.
Madam Chair.
pag kami po kasi yung pag gumawa tayo ng social media policy, I mean, there's really a thin line. Baka
Hindi,
sabihin,
pero alam mo, mahirap dito sa vloggers din, ganito ha. Anong magiging standard natin for being invited? I may be a blogger with 1 or 2 followers, so will it be like the number of followers? Diba parang, so, I mean, short of it being a town hall meeting, accommodating everybody who claims to be a blogger, that might as well be the entire universe of Facebook users. But anyway,
Madam Chair, kasi na-mention mo yung standards eh. I'm just wondering, Secretary Andanar, meron na ho ba tayong dinadraft na standards for government employees? Kasi I think we should have a higher standard for government employees when it comes to their personal social media account. Meron na ho bang ganong draft or pinag-aaral na magkaroon kumbaga standards?
Your Honor, yes, the DICT, ma'am, is coming up with a draft executive order on this matter. It's actually a compilation of the several laws that we already have and are already existing.
Madam Chair, wala ba tayong somebody from DICT that can update?
no, I'm just confused. Why DICT? I mean, shouldn't it be PCOO also? What are your inputs in this draft? Can you give me an example? Ma'am, please identify yourself again.
I'm Cheryl Soriano from De La Salle University.
Yes, ma'am.
The draft administrative order from the DICT was circulated to different stakeholders. They held a public hearing last year as well. The draft administrative order is on social media use in government. It encompasses policy supposedly for looking at social media management policy for government websites and government social media sites, and also has a small section on the conduct of government officials on social media. What I feel, though, when they sent out that administrative order is that there can be a bit more bite in terms of specific stipulations on how the actions of government officials in their personal social media sites may be looked at more closely and penalized as well.
Walang, anong ethical standards did they mention?
It was detailed in terms of how government agencies will run their social media pages, kasi marami ng government agencies yung merong kanya-kanyang social media pages. And at the same time, meron din siyang section on how government officials will conduct themselves in social media.
So in your personal opinion, ma'am, do you think that if your primary task is communication, would it be counterproductive to have your own, or for the sake of freedom of expression, you should be allowed to continue?
Madam Chairman, I think organizational communication is a dilemma for different kinds of organizations, and more so for PCOO, because it's a communication organization primarily of the country. So I think, as with all kinds of organizations, employees of particular organizations need to come to a contract with their particular organizations. Kayang gawin ng organization yun eh. They can come up with their own social media management manuals and policies that their employees will abide by. Even...
Are you saying that PCOO should not allow?
I'm saying that PCOO can come up with its own social media management policy and have all its officials follow that policy.
Okay, if you were Secretary Andanar, how would you direct this policy to be to your employees or to your subordinates? Like, would you agree with the tenor of certain bloggers that are employed under PCOO, or do you feel it's quite biased?
I think it's a policy that the organization could come up with jointly, collaboratively with its own employees. I think primarily here is the sense of mutual respect. It is very hard to draw a very clean line. What is allowable, what's not allowable. At least I think we should go with principles of mutual respect, and also recognition that there are government officials. They should be advancing dialogic discourse and civil participation of people, not just political partisanship, for example.
Yeah, because you know, I feel being fair to ASEC Mocha, if there's a disclaimer And she has repeatedly said so, that it's her personal blog. Now, for people, I guess that's your own lookout. You should be able to discern, and that's the bigger part of the problem, is for people to be able to separate her role. On the other hand, maybe as a general policy, you can say something like, maintain your blog, but I think that we should have certain ethical standards that you carry on in your personal capacity since you're still in government. For example, language used, verifying articles just to be sure that you're accurate. You're held to a higher standard precisely because you're in government. Would you be open to this, Ms. Badoy, for example?
Madam Chair, just a minute. Just to put this on record, I'm a bit bothered by the tone and the direction of this this talk right now. Just to make it very clear that misinformation, lies, and all these misleadings do not come exclusively from the Duterte camp. Okay. Neither do they come from just officials that are identified with the government. In fact, the Vice President is one of the primary purveyors of fake news. Okay. And that the President is maybe an even bigger victim than she is.
Really, please enlighten us. But for the record, ma'am, I would like to also stress that as I've given the forum also to PCO to explain your side, I've also called out certain groups like Dayao is opposed to you, and I feel that it is also quite unfair for you to be here and for him not to be accountable and be present. We have Ms. Hover here, who's actually one of the reasons why we have this hearing now. So it's not targeting that, and in fact, I strive to be fair. So
because we've talked, Madam Chair, we've talked about ASEC Boca for maybe like a third of the time. Or
Madam
something
Chair, is that the official position of the PCOO? That they're accusing the Office of the Vice President of spreading fake news, of peddling misinformation? Is that the official stand of the PCOO? Or is it just the personal stand of Ms. Badoy?
Okay, before we go into that, the reason why we mention her in particular is because of this controversy of one of the things that we need to be able to resolve to come up with legislation or not about being in government and maintaining your own blog or website. That's the reason. She's more prominent, as you say. The more you are in the public eye, the more responsibility you have. So it's not actually what do you call this, zeroing in. In fact, we acknowledge and we thank the Secretary for showing up during our last hearing. So,
Madam Chair,
with a question addressed to
yes.
now, position.
I'd just like to ask lang if a resource person is also clarified or qualified to ask questions.
You can ask me, and if I feel that it is something worthy of discussion, then I will ask the person that you pertain it, that you address it to. So I think this is worthy of discussion because it's quite an accusation. You say that the biggest fake news.
Maybe one of the.
Okay, tell me, please qualify your
For
answer.
instance, she just said recently that she paints a gloomy picture of the country at a time in our history when all the important numbers for our country are looking up. Fantastic numbers, in fact. And she says it's doom and gloom and nababalutan sa dilim or something. But an unprecedented number of Filipinos, 98%, are very hopeful. For the first time, it's unprecedented. And this is an international audience that she peddles and spreads these lies about.
Okay, well, that's her opinion, and I guess the numbers will speak for itself,
Yes.
as you said. But I'd like to hear the voice of the mainstream here. Yeah, Mr. Alampay, and then later on, Ms. Reza.
Madam Chair, just I think I have no intention of pursuing this discussion and this debate. I will leave it at where the chairman left it, that this is opinion versus opinion, but I do think that's a legitimate question by Mr. Cruz, particularly because I think it brings us to the crux of why we are here and why, as we have said, while we feel that there are enough laws for us to deal with any problems on the internet, there is particular focus on government, and particularly government officials and agencies that deal with information, because that is where we then come to, as I said in the last hearing, the untenability of having public officials invoking their private positions. It will never happen. If you're a public official, as I thought Attorney Banaag was leading to, a compromise or an agreement and an understanding with ASEC MOCA, that for as long as you have this public position, then we have to treat everything you say, regardless of the platform, as something that speaks for government. Which is why I think, as I said, I have no intention of pursuing this particular topic on the Vice President, but I do think it's an important question, and take this as an example. When an Undersecretary for Communications says this, is that the official position of the PCOO and of government?
Ms. Badoy, please clarify.
It is my personal opinion.
Okay. So, Mr. Alampay, you're head of interaction and TV5 News, and very respected, and I've seen your demeanor and also your opinions in many of our proceedings, and we respect your inputs. I would like to ask, if you were the head of PCOO, what would your policy be? What would your policy direction be when it comes to, I mean, wasn't Mr. Andanar under you before?
No, I was way below Mr. Andanar.
Oh, okay. Whatever. No, but what would it be? Would you tell your people, your subordinates, to get rid of their own personal first and follow an official policy?
Okay. First, I say this not as interaction, but as invited, trying to imagine how would it be to be a public official. So it is in that context that I'm only trying to build a scenario. But I think the easiest way to deal with it is to basically tell anybody involved in official communications of government that there is no such thing as your private equity here. Anything you say will be attributed, and not just may, will be attributed not just to you and not just to your office, but to government. I was about to say that I thought that the ASEC Banaag's discussion of how they've talked to ASEC MOCA, ASEC Uson, that they will now tell her, or they have told her, that anything she says is now there will be no distinction. Everything will be public. I was about to say, oh, that's good enough for me. But as the discussion went on, I realized that no, it does not end it. You take it from the other perspective as well. There will remain conflict there for as long as she has a private platform, as discussed by the bloggers, by media, and by the senators. As long as you're writing, your followers and your readers are an asset. It is an asset. And if theoretically, for example, a public official were to build up another 1 million followers during tenure, by the end of that, he or she would have gotten 1 million followers courtesy of taxpayer money. And therefore, there is that conflict. I say this by way of hopefully something that can be taken into consideration by Secretary Andanar as you formulate policies, but it is not as simple as coming up with a case-to-case agreement with and the easiest way out of this is to just draw a line and say, if you are going to enter government, particularly in communications, you let go of all your platforms, and for that matter, your private equity as a private individual. If you don't like it, you don't have to join government, and as soon as you're not happy, you can leave government.
Thank you, Mr. Alampay. Ms. Ressa, and then I will ask Sorry, Ms. Tordesillas. You first, Ms. Tordesillas, before Maria Ressa, because she already had the time to speak. Ma'am, Vera Files.
Nasabi na kasi kanina ng marami sa atin dito na I think they made the position that we have enough existing laws to address whatever
Pakilapit yung
to
mic
protect
para
the-
marinig natin mas malinaw.
Nasabi na kanina ng halos karamihan ata dito nagsabi na their stand is that we have enough existing laws to protect the public from any abuses from of media. We in Vera Files reiterate the same position. In fighting fake news, we should be conscious of the danger that we would be coming up with measures that would undermine freedom of expression. We might come up with a cure that is worse than the disease. Fake lies are concocted to deceive the public. They confuse the public and disempower them from making informed decision. And the worrisome part of this is that most of the sources of disinformation is being perpetrated by government officials on taxpayers' money. And the number one source of fake news is the President Duterte himself. Vera Files as a fact-check project, we tracked falsehood being spewed out by public personalities, and I tell you, President Duterte keeps us busy. In just one speech, sometimes he would say more than one falsehood. Social media is a vehicle, and the problem about that is that most of the inaccurate data that he has are basis of policies. And you know, the one example is the war on drugs. It's based on data which cannot be verified. Marami pa yun. Social media is an awesome vehicle for information. It delivers messages real time. It has erased geographical borders. Its reach is limitless. In the hands of malevolent forces, it can inflict enormous harm to the people and to the country. Kaya kung may batas, the best antidote to fake news is truth. Ang kalaban ng kasinungalingan ay katotohanan. Kung may batas man na gagawin para sa pagsugpo ng fake news, dapat ay siguro yan ay sa larangan ng edukasyon. Social Media Literacy Program. Part of Vera Files Fact Check Project is our campus tour in partnership with the Philippine Press Institute, helping young people to fact check and to spot fake news para hindi naman sila maloko. Diyan siguro sa social media literacy, diyan siguro malaki ang maitulong ng Senado. Yun lang.
Pero di ba ma'am, pag social media literacy, sino dapat ang gumawa niyan? Iba-ibang grupo, hindi dapat.
Hindi, tulong lang siguro. Kasi ngayon talaga sa marami kaming grupo na sa private sector ang gumagawa ng social media literacy program. Like kami, umiikot kami sa campus para tulungan lalo kayong mga high school pa lang kasi social media sabi na yung mga kabataan . So, we help them fact check para importante kasi nakatotohanan ang ma-imbibe nila, hindi yung falsehood.
Alam niyo ma'am, actually ABS-CBN nandito. Naalala ko dati, babalikan ko na naman yung aking storya na sinasabi ko dapat yung maintindihan ng Pilipino kung anong pwedeng panoorin, anong pwedeng hindi. Sa tulong ninyo, GMA7, TV5, gumawa tayo ng yung rating system, di ba? Hindi natin ginawa lang, pre-promote natin, di ba? Yun yung ginawa. Baka pwede din sa mga balita maging mapanuri, ito yung mag-check kayo ng hindi lamang dun sa mga kaibigan ninyo ng mga pinopost, kundi dun sa iba. I mean, something like that. But of course, this will entail also a partnership with the private sector. And I think Senator Nancy will add something.
Siguro, Madam Chair, I remember during the budget hearing, di ba Secretary Andanar, you mentioned something that parang meron kayong program to educate. Baka pwede naman magtulong-tulungan kayo. Diba?
Alam mo, pwede ko yan sagutin. Mahirap kasi makipagtulungan. I'll give you one example. Minsan, mahirap kasi makipag-cooperate sa pamahalaan kasi hindi ko alam kung pareho kami ng definition ng truth. Kasi I'll give you one example. Yung isang fact-check project namin involved schools within students from Metro Manila schools, pero ang venue ginawa sa Philippine Information Agency. Venue lang yung sa kanila. Pagdating doon, siyempre piniprepare na namin yung presentation namin. Napansin nila, marami sa examples namin, yung mga falsehood na binabato ni Presidente sa Madla. And they asked us to tone down the presentation. Ano yun? So, hindi na kami nag-present. Hindi na kami nag-present. So, hindi ko alam kung yung katotohanan na sinasabi nila, na gusto nila ipaalam sa lahat, ay pareho kami ng definition. So, yun ang medyo worry ako pag sinabi mong work with the government.
Madam Chair, can I respond to Ma'am Ellen?
Yes, and then I would finally like to go to Ms. Lauria before we suspend.
I do respect
Okay,
Ma'am
go ahead.
Ellen as a journalist, pero pag sinabi niyo pong si Presidente po yung source ng falsehood, na generalize masyado yung inyong sinasabi, ay hindi naman din ako papayag na ganun-ganun lang at na ma-broadcast sa lahat ng television, social media. So I would like to invite Ma'am Ellen to visit my office and to join us, to ilagay po ang mga dokumento sa harapan ko, and I will answer them one by one para po mas malino po at hindi tayo nag-generalize na falsehood si Presidente. At number 2 po, meron po kaming programa, yung PCONet. Ito po yung Provincial Communication Officers Network, and we've been going around the country, and you're free to join us. There's only one way to find out. Just join us, and not necessarily believe in what we do, but join the caravan, and we can have opposing opinions, but that's our job. Number 3, siguro naman ay ito'y malinaw po sa mga kababayan natin na itong administrasyon lamang na ito ang nakapagpasa ng isang freedom of information under an executive order, at alam kong pinaglalaban din po ito ni Senator Grace Poe dito po sa Senado. Salamat po.
Secretary Andanar, unang-una, talagang tama lang that you called Mr. Desillas on her allegation and offered her to clarify it with you. I feel that Mr. Desillas wouldn't say it without any basis, but I think it's important that you clarify those doubts or truths. And then
Yes,
number 2, you were a former member also of the media, so you know. I'm sure you have sympathy for them. If it's really inclusive, if you can include them in your government tours when you go around, I think it's important to have accountability, and you know that if you get a fellow media practitioner in the group, then you will be more transparent, you'll be more accountable. Number 3, yes, I acknowledge and I thank the President for signing an executive order on the freedom of information. Sadly, it is something that has no teeth because there's really no penalty. In fact, the truth is, now, when you go to a government agency, even us, our own personal experience in the Senate, we ask for certain data, we're given the runaround because it's not very clear what the penalty or what the accountable individual will be in the office if they don't give it. Sir, sa totoo lang, it doesn't really work. It doesn't work in many cases. When you ask for information, it's still withheld. Just here in the Senate, I mean, even the Senate and the House, you ask for the SALE, and it's not an open document that can be accessed necessarily but by our countrymen. So we'll work together to make it more effective.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this is not something that the President can what do you call this, monitor on a day-to-day basis. It falls under your I guess your department to be able to follow through. So let's check it, and then maybe to add more teeth, we should have penalties for those who don't comply. Kasi dapat yan 5 days, within 5 working days, and then at the most you can appeal to the next head of that agency, etc. It's not being followed, and I know that for a fact. So thank you for raising it. But I think I would like now to go to
Yung ano naman, documented naman lahat-lahat ng falsehood na sinasabi ni Presidente mula pa nung day 1 ng kanyang presidency. You can go to our site, nandun lahat yung fact check. Documented yung kanyang exact quote as against the accurate information na dapat.
Sige, ma'am, mag-meeting na lang kayo, tapos ibigay mo rin sa akin para alam rin namin. GMA News, bigyan naman ko kayo ng pagkakataon bago si Ms. Lauro.
Sorry, before we turn over to Ms. Laurio, kukwento ko lang po yung efforts din ng, I think lahat naman ng media organizations ngayon nagsisimula na ng efforts to fight fake news. Sa GMA, meron kaming online show called Fact or Fake, hosted by Joseph Borong. You can search for it on YouTube. And interesting kasi yung last episode was about this news website proliferating fake news about this viral girl who supposedly committed suicide. So fake talaga yon. And ang interesting is it was using the name of President Duterte. So it was bannered under President Duterte News, and we checked and we verified that it was fake news. Now, in this particular case, it's interesting to me because like all media organizations, we've had encounters where fake news sites impersonate us. And our action usually is to put out a statement disowning whatever fake news that is. So kahit nga yung minsan yung walang pasok, lalagyan ng logo ng GMA, tapos mag-spread siya. So we have to respond as quickly as possible para hindi maging viral yung fake news na yun. Ngayon, in this case, and marami pang ibang cases, ginagamit actually yung pangalan ni President Duterte dito ng mga fake news site na ito. I was just wondering if there are efforts by government to disown this and to actually run after the people running these sites, because obviously merong traction ito sa online, merong kumikita rito, and I think it behooves the government, given that the name of the president is being used for traffic.
You know what, thank you for raising that. In fact, like some of them can get away with it on a technicality because they don't necessarily say Duterte website. They say something like Duterte supporter, which can, you know, excuse them already. But you're right, because sometimes, you know, I meet a lot of our OFWs, kababayan, and they get the news just because of that very popular name, di ba, nang kita nila. So, PCO, I think you should be wary also of those that use the name of the president to be able to spread. But I would like to call also on Rappler, no? Kasi, of course, we're talking about fake news here. One of the things that came out of Rappler is the news that Nikki Teodoro is the new DSWD secretary. So, that was also one of the issues against Rappler initially. Maybe you can answer that, Ms. Reza.
Sure.
How did that happen?
So it's a normal workflow process we have called a pre-write, and it was accidentally triggered the same way that, I don't know if you saw a few years ago, AP, for example, said that the White House was under attack, and it came out in a tweet. So this was published. We immediately pulled it back and issued an erratum, and then came out with the right piece. So it was a flaw in the process, in the workflow process. But again, immediately taken down and then given.
So you admit it was a mistake? I mean,
oh
it
yes,
happens
absolutely,
in journalism.
absolutely, yeah.
All right.
And we did a correction immediately, and then we put it inside a monthly list of every single correction that our organization has. We maintain that.
No, but you know how there are like certain leanings. There's no denying that sympathizers of another group is more leaning towards Rappler, and sympathizers of another group will lean towards another group. Now, but it doesn't preclude us from being more accountable, I guess, being more balanced. But I think now I would like to acknowledge the presence of our majority floor leader and also one of the ones that filed the resolution for this hearing, Senator Soto. Thank you for your presence, sir. Should we go now to Ms. Laurio to, do you have any particular questions for her? I think, sir, you can also, this is something that you wanted me to clarify.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Perhaps the question I would like to pose would be to all, or whoever would be able to answer. Perhaps Rappler and all the other agencies that are involved in the social media, or mainstream media for that matter. For example, not example, my question would be, what do you do when you've posted a fake news and the victim asks you to take it down and proves that it is fake news? What do you do?
Do you actually take it down? Sir, meron yata yung sa inyo, di ba yung sa isang...
Yes, meron ganun eh.
Sir, being an ex-media person.
Yes, thank you, Madam Senator. Senator Soto and Senator Binay, good afternoon. Apart from being a former reporter, our company also maintains more than 50 social media sites, and with likers numbering 800,000 plus. So when we do get a complaint on almost 24 hours basis, we if it's really erroneous, we take it down. Kasi it's also to our disadvantage if we have found ourselves making a mistake and not correcting it, because the karma will be on the readers. The worst thing that can happen to a site, especially if it's not populated by bots, but organic and real people, you will be unliked by the hundreds. That's the worst thing, apart from being suspended by the site like Facebook. So in our case, we are very conscientious about that.
This is your opinion, but I would like to ask ABS, what would you do if there's an erroneous report and you are asked to take it down? Do you offer a correction? Do you take it down from your archives, etc.?
If it's proven that it's erroneous, we will take it down, and we've done that a lot of times.
Is the Inquirer here?
Invited them, but they haven't sent a representative yet. Maybe we can ask Ms. Laurio, now that you're present here, do you have any statements that you would like to open with?
Yes, yung una kasi, yung kaninang suggestion ni Senator Pacquiao na parang pangalanan yung mga bloggers, i-register sila. The reason why some people hindi sila lumalabas is because of the bashers and the hate messages. You need to have a strong stomach for it, for you to continue blogging. For example, someone would release your private information online, saying where you're going to school, and then telling in a FB Live that wag niyo siyang sasaktan, kausapin niyo lang, sa Arellano yan nag-aaral. Something like that. I mean, you need to have a firm stomach for it. And in regards to suggestion ni Secretary Andanar that to work hand in hand with the press, maybe before doing that, he needs to tell ASIC MOCA to stop calling the media as prostitute. For one, step one. They should stop calling media as a prostitute. It's a very offensive. I mean, there's a resibo for that. And then the fake news. Fake news kasi dalawa yan. Disinformation or misinformation. I can give you one example. Wag na tayong lumayo. For you, Senator Grace po, I'm going to give an example. ASIC MOCA just posted, there's a news last November 26 where you asked the palace to certify traffic power bill as urgent. And then ASIC MOCA posted, wow ha, ang tagal na po niyan, tapos sasabihin nyo si President na dapat ang i-certify siya na urgent. Apparently, hindi naiintindihan ni ASEC MOCA kung paano pinapasa yung bill. And then she said, dito mo talaga makikita ang pinagkakaiba ni Presidente sa mga trapo. Kay Presidente, lagi mong maririnig ang katagang, I will take responsibility. Akin yan. Pag trapo, hindi mo talaga makikitang sa amin nagkamali. So basically, she is enticing hate. She is enticing her follower to hate you. Paano yung mga follower niya na hindi alam na ang pagpasa ng bill ay nag-first reading, second reading, third reading. So,
Actually, Ms. Laurio, thank you for clarifying that. That's true. I mean, Secretary Andanar, I've been the one pushing for emergency powers here. In fact, I've been asking the President, you certify it, all of your senators in your group would fast-track it. Of course, we have the train, etc., that took precedence. But why would you allow something like that? I know this is her personal blog. Did you call her attention? Did you explain it to her?
I wasn't able to read or listen to that particular blog of MOCA.
Sure.
I will check that. November 26th.
Never mind, because I know what I'm doing here in the Senate, and I feel that I'm the majority leader can attest to this. But it's just sad because she belongs to this. Never mind. This is not a forum for our personal vendetta. But Ms. Laurio, go ahead. What else?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before she moves on, may I? This is somehow related. If you're behind the Pinay Ako blog,
yes, sir.
Ms. Laurio, so what did you do after you came out with the news that it was not true? What did you do with the news? Because you said in your blog that we refused to sign that particular resolution, and it's not true that we did not refuse to sign. We were not asked to sign.
Yes, sir.
So what did you do afterwards?
On that given time, sir, yung time na blinag ko yan, you were still not signing any resolution on that. And then, I made another...
Because we were not asked to sign.
There's a recibo from the office of Senator Kiko that says that an email was sent to some senators.
That's not true. Even if it is true that emails was sent thereafter, that is not true because that is not the procedure here. You must know that in the procedure here in the Senate, any member of the Senate can come up to us and ask us to sign when it's a resolution. You do not email. When you email, that means you're avoiding. So if you're asking some people to learn about Senate proceedings, you must learn also about Senate proceedings. So thereafter, when you found out that we did not refuse to sign, as a matter of fact, we came out with our own resolution, what did you do?
Well, the resolution was on the blog. It was stated that you said that, sabi nyo po, gagawa kayo ng resolution. And then when I write the second blog, dun po lumabas yung statement from the office of Senator Kiko na, in fact, you were informed via email that there's indeed a resolution because some of your colleagues...
But that was already after it was filed. So, what did you do? Hindi mo inalis, hindi mo inalis yung news mo.
Kasi
hindi mo
ang
inalis yung blog
timeline...
mo.
Okay
That's
po.
what I'm talking about, Madam Chair. Alam na niyang fake news, alam na niyang mali yung news, hindi pa inaalis. So what do we do about this? Yun ang gusto nating malaman. And hopefully we will be able to come up with legislation that would address such things.
Kasi ganito lang yun, Ms. Laurie. Para lang ma-explain ko rin sa mga nakikinig. Ang sinasabi ni Senator Soto, totoo nga naman, dito yung proceedings namin, ako na nalapitan para pirmahan yon. So, swerte ko naman.
Bakit hindi email sa'yo?
Correct. Okay, so sabihin na natin, ewan ko na kung anong intention doon. Basta ako nalapitan, mabuti na lang na pirmahan ko. Ngayon, nung sinasabi ninyo na hindi na niya pinirmahan, kaya hindi mo na na-retract kasi tapos na yung blogging at that time, nasubmit na kasi yun eh. So, hindi na talaga mapipirmahan. Nasubmit na yon. So, that's why what they did was, I think they came up with their own manifestations, correct? Condemning EJK. So, that's it. You know, I think that you should also be given a little room, just like we're giving room to Rappler and PDI for their mistakes, di ba? But But at least also you should realize that this is also how it affects some of us here na hindi naman sa ayaw namin pirmahan yung EJK, I mean, ng aking mga kasama. I can attest to the fact that ako nilapitan. And siguro sila nga hindi. Ma'am.
Yes, yung sample po na sinabi ko about you, Madam Chair, that's disinformation. Another example of another fake news. I don't want to call it fake news because that's completely lie. About Senator Bam. Senator Bam said that I would like to thank President Duterte for signing this, yung free college. And then again, ASEC Mocha posted that Senator Bam is credit grabbing, blah 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 blah. I mean, what part of I thank the president for signing that is not, I mean, it's just like creating divisiveness and hatred. Hindi lang po isang beses, hindi lang po dalawa, maraming beses po. And yet, sasabihin na naman natin na it is in her personal capacity. But on her personal blog, nag-FB live din siya eh. Nag-FB live siya sa mga accomplishment ni Presidente, which is good. Pero ginagamit niya rin sa sa pag-publish ng fake news.
Ayan, Miss Badoy, sige nga pakisagot ito.
I don't think Miss Lario has the moral high ground to talk to us about kindness and decency when she herself, her blog...
I don't think she's talking about kindness and decency.
Accuracy.
What she's talking about here, ma'am, what she's talking about is how it is... Kasi nga the difference is you're in government and they're not. Okay? So that's why nga the policy is a little bit different. That's why we don't mean to pick on anyone, but the fact is, how do you blur the lines nga? The lines are so blurred. So how do you, okay, she has no moral high ground in your opinion, right? Because cite an example, because...
well, we have our slides actually, of her, how we please. Of course, I understand that Ms. Lario we're held to a higher standard because we're government officials. I do understand that. But even then, as humans, we don't take away our humanity. She's gone over and beyond what can be defined as decent.
Yeah. Do you have that presentation? Can you please show it? Because I want to be
Madam Chair,
fair here.
Madam Chair, I wish to clarify, is this an official PCOO presentation prepared using taxpayer money and public employees? Is this Yusek Badoy's personal presentation? We would just like to put on record,
okay,
Madam Chair.
Secretary Andanar can answer this, or Attorney Banaag. Sir, are you aware of this presentation, sir?
We have prepared slides of inaccurate news and fake news as well. This is for the information and also to aid us in this hearing, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
so you are aware of this, and this is part of your presentation, PCO. Okay, go ahead, please.
Madam Chair, can I answer every slide para mas mapabilis po tayo? Is this
okay.
Yeah.
Sige, go.
First slide. Ito po ang example ng disinformation or fake news. Yeah, kailangan nyo nga talaga po ng training sec. The post was posted May of 2017. And then, the context of the post is that may sakit ang presidente noon, kaya sinama niya yung buong pamilya. And everyone was asking, bakit kasama? Di ba, taxpayer money yan? And then I tweeted, sabi ko sa bagay, at least kung may mangyari sa kanya during that trip, kasama yung pamilya niya.
Oh, pero hindi naman, may mali siya pa rin doon. Alam naman natin. O, sige,
I mean,
yun na yung justification mo, mali pa rin yun. Okay,
yes,
next.
but it's not a fake news.
No, we're not saying that.
Yeah,
we're talking about...
But why it was presented there, Madam Chair?
Okay, we're talking about the conduct. Okay, no. Okay, so fine. Look, kayo rin naman may mga below the belt. And I mean, and you should be called out for those things that you say that are wrong. So you have, may pangil ka rin. Okay, next. Okay, so paano to? Hindi naman ikaw yan eh, no?
Yeah, it's the president who
Pero,
said
yeah,
that Bongo
that's
is a
not your blog.
billionaire.
Okay, okay.
That's my blog, ma'am.
Blog mo
ko po
rin?
yan. Yeah.
Okay.
I was quoting the president saying na Bongo is billionaire.
Oo, actually parang narinig ko rin yun eh, di ba? Okay, so okay lang yun, di ba? Okay, next.
But not in connection with the
With the scandal.
Ha?
It's not with the scandal, yung context nung statement ni President.
Hindi, kaya nga. So, di ba, this is actually what we're learning here. We're learning.
Madam
that you
Chair?
Madam
Chair,
Madam-
siguro pwede pa-explain natin muna sila Secretary Andanar kung paano naging fake news yung pinopost nila. Siguro bago siya sumagot.
Okay.
Bongo, hindi lang selfie king. Ang pagkasulat kasi niyan ay very malicious, ma'am eh. That's very malicious. Pakialamero din. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? Anong gustong ipahiwatig ni Ms. Jover sa sambayanan? And of course, let us also take into consideration that these types of posts, ito yung nag-iengganyo na mga hate messages eh. Itong mga post na ganito eh.
But it's not fake news. It's a hate post.
Hate post. Hate post. Hate post, and it could be fake news.
Madam Chair?
Okay. You first because, yes.
Madam Chair, if I may comment, since I'm a lawyer, this is not hate speech, Your Honor. This is precisely legal opinion. This is political opinion, Your Honor. And precisely, it's within the protection of the right to freedom of expression.
No one's disputing that. But this is what we're trying to prove here. Both sides of the camp are kind of guilty also of perpetuating their beliefs in a way that can be offensive if you are on the other side of the fence.
Yes, Your Honor, but it is a dictum of freedom of expression advocacy that the antidote to speech that we hate is not less speech, but more speech, Your Honor. Therefore, if some quarters of our political society are against this post, this opinion, the antidote, Your Honor, is to post another opinion on that.
Okay.
Not to actually self-censorship.
No,
we're not
I agree. This is we're not going to curtail this. We're not going to say, "Hoy, okay, mag-post ng ganyan." We can only appeal and say, "Okay, just be kind, if you can, be magnanimous if you can." But it should not be a choice when you're in government. You should always carry a higher standard. That's the only thing.
Yes, sir.
Yung,
Now, it's not.
No, hindi naman, wala naman kami sinasabi, attorney, kasi yung context kasi nun, in-explain na ni Special Assistant to the President na wala nga siyang kinalaman at hindi siya nakialam. So, ang nakalagay doon, pakialamero din. So, it's implying that pakialamero si Sapbong. So, therefore, ang tanong ko kay Jovi, have you called him up and asked him kung talagang nakialam siya?
Ay, wala po kasi akong contact sa kanya, sir.
Okay.
At saka po, binase ko po yung blog na yan
Saan?
sa documents na kung saan meron pong si Sec Lorenzana na meron pong post-it doon na this is from Bongo and all.
At sinagot
Saka,
na yon ni Secretary Lorenzana at sinabi niya na hindi niya na matandaan at sinabi din ni Vice Admiral Mercado na never nakialam si Sap Bongo.
Well, when I was writing that, sir, wala pa po. So,
Because that's the problem. Wala kasing vetting Ang problema.
Ibang Rappler, may
Madam
rilabas din, yung may writing dun sa margins nung, how are you able to verify? Is that true news?
Oh, sorry.
About the meddling and
Delphine Lorizanda,
the Navy.
Secretary of Defense actually confirmed the document. And
The Secretary of the name is the Secretary Lorenzana.
Secretary Lorenzana confirmed it. I mean, we can tweet it, guys, if you're
Okay.
on. Just tweet the links to the articles. But can I, ma'am, since Senator Poe, since you have, I think for me, what's astounding listening is that there seems to be an inability to distinguish between professional behavior and accountability for government officials and free speech in many instances. So I hope no offense on this one, sir. I think that in the earlier one, it's about professionalism. Any office, particularly a government office that's in charge of the reputation of the government, that is in charge of communicating to the public, actually should have its own standards and ethics for your own employees. I've been an employee for many, many years of different organizations, and they've actually always told us, when I was with CNN, I couldn't get a haircut without letting my boss know. That doesn't curtail your freedom. It doesn't curtail freedom of speech. And particularly for a government official, echoing Robbie, there is no difference between personal and professional because that's a government official. I can't imagine Senator Soto doing something privately and then saying publicly, I can't, that wasn't me. So I think that's the first one, and then it's about a level of professionalism that you'd hold the people in PCOO to. And then the second part is just if you create a vacuum, if you don't exercise that power and then have a kind of plausible deniability about who can, like in Undersecretary Badoy's situation, when you draw the line between your personal and your professional role, it's a disservice to your office and also a disservice to your own personal goals. I think part of it is in that instance where you said that you're going to, I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't be saying this. It's just shocking that we're at a very basic definition of what professional government service means and what the expectations are. And perhaps that's the difference. That's the core difference in the way we approach everything.
Okay. Thank you. I guess we go back again to this distinction of a private individual and a government official. I mean, we go back to that. But I think Senator Soto
Yes,
has
Madam
something to
Chair,
add.
I hope you don't mind. But earlier, when we were monitoring the hearing, and some of my staff members were monitoring the hearing, we heard a resource person say that the NBI Cybercrime Division can make hocus-pocus report, something to that effect. So, and that Kokoy Dayaw is they can show that Kokoy Dayaw is the registered owner of Silent No More when actually he is not. That was, I think, the statement that was made. Can we ask the NBI to respond to this comment that was made, allegation against you?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I was supposed to raise the issue earlier, but because of so many issues raised before, I wasn't able to do so. First of all, I would like to inform that we filed the case before the city prosecutor of Pasay City, a cyber libel case against Mr. Dayaw. It was docketed there. The preliminary investigation progressed, and we were informed that it was submitted for resolution. We are awaiting the result of resolution, but for purposes of presentation here, I can comment that we have proven that Kokoy Dayaw is the managing director and editor-in-chief of propinoy.net. Therefore, it follows that he has the authority to act on behalf of the owner of the website or is the owner himself. He likewise admits that he is the editor-in-chief thereof, which means that he is the website's editorial decision maker. So as to his liability, if it will be proven that this propinoy.net is registered in his name, there is no doubt as to the personality or the subject of our investigation. If we want a complete presentation of the digital forensic laboratory examination made by the NBI, we can present it here, but considering that the case is pending issuance of resolution, I don't want to be cited in contempt in that proceedings. But
So
we can ask for
therefore, the allegation that you can make hocus pocus is not true.
fake news, sir, Your Honor.
Huh?
That's
It's
a
not
fake
true.
news, Your
It's
Honor.
not true. Yun ang fake news.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ay, usos talaga sa kanila yun eh.
We can present the result of the digital forensic examination in executive session if the senators would wish to do it. Thank you very much.
Actually, Senator Soto, one of the interviews with the then Secretary Abella, he was asked about trolls, and he said, wala naman kaming trolls, meron kaming social media warriors. I think he mentioned that. And he mentioned the name Mick Abunada. Are you familiar with him? Is he employed? Gabonada. So he was mentioned as one of those involved in the social media warriors group of this administration. Is that true, or are you familiar with him, Ms. Banaag?
I've met Mr. Nick Gabonada once, Madam Chairman, but I'm not so familiar with Mr. Nick
So
Gabonada.
why was
And
his name mentioned by Secretary Abella as belonging to the social media warriors of this administration?
I would not really know the context as to which the Secretary, Undersecretary Abella then mentioned his name, Senator.
Mr. Lopez, yeah, you have something to add.
Madam Chair, Mr. Gabonada is like Mr. Armand Nocum. He's a like a PR.
Is he employed by this administration? Do you know?
I'm not sure now.
But do you see him when you have bloggers meetings?
Not now.
Before?
But during the campaign, he
During
was
the
active.
campaign. So, Mr. Secretary Andanar, is he still under your employ?
No, Madam Chair. I met Nick Gabonada after the president's oath taking, and he's not under our office.
Okay. Senator Soto or Senator Binay, do you have anything else to add before we do
Well,
our closing?
just one final question. What is our recourse, or what is the recourse of people if a website or a social media company or group do not want to take down their fake news? What is our recourse?
Perhaps the NBI can answer this. Or maybe, wala ang Facebook kaya pinapatawag na natin for the next. Ms. Panelo, very quickly.
Yes po. Kasi I'm
Where are
from
you
the
again?
NUJP po, National Union of Journalists of the Philippines.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. I'm taking from the report of the NBI na pwede pala po silang mag-track down ng mga websites. Kasi meron po kaming app, yung Fake Block, na inintroduce namin actually in March this year, na nag-flag down siya ng
Facebook Fake Block.
So
Okay.
it blocks mga fake websites. And dun sa site na yon, pwede pong mag-report yung citizens na nakakakita ng fake websites, na i-report nila doon, tapos bine-verify namin. Ang nakita namin na commonality kasi, dun sa mga inire-report, is wala siyang about us. Walang about us. So, ibig sabihin, walang accountability. Yung hundreds of fake websites na all over the internet.
Magandang private initiative to Pero pag ni-report sa inyo, what's the recourse in the law? Do you submit it now?
Yun nga po, inaayos pa po kasi namin yung database kasi sobrang dami din.
Ang dami nagre-report.
Tapos kailangan din namin talagang
At
i-verify.
hindi lang lahat politika to, di ba? Iba-iba,
Yes,
may
yes.
private.
Merong mga health, yung mga
Oo.
about
Yun ang importante
mga business,
rin,
yung
sa health,
ganyan. So, sobrang dami po nung sites and we're verifying all the sites. We have, parang marami na nag-report sa around 500. So, inaayos pa namin siya. We will,
You know,
we
I
just
think you
want to
should
put it on
collaborate
record
with
na,
you can help the NBI.
Yes.
The NBI is open. Let's seek an
And
appointment. Yeah.
para makita din sino ba talaga yung if they can track down, sino talaga yung gumagawa ng mga fake websites na ito na nagpo-proliferate.
So, for example, yung ayaw i-take down ni Miss Lauro yung maling balita, pwedeng i-report sa inyo. The blog insists that we refuse to sign it.
Ang
And
pwede
she
pong
does not want to take it down. So, can we report
ano
to
po
you?
niya yun? It's her site, so depende po yun sa kanya kung
So, wala
iti-take
kayo,
down
hindi
niyo
kayo
po.
wala kayo magagawa.
Ang inaano po namin, yung mga sites ay vine-verify namin kung fake website siya or hindi. Yan po.
And then, therefore, so the answer to my query is not, well, they can't do anything?
Mr. Senator, if I may.
Yeah.
Mr. Alampay, go
Kasi,
ahead.
Ako po, sa tingin ko po, napakahalaga po nung tanong ni Senator Soto. And I'll try to answer also para sa mga nakikinig. Marami pong nanonood. At alam ko naman po na dahil napakalihiti mo nung tanong na yun, at pagka naagrabyado ako, anong pwede kong gawin? Hindi lang po nangyayari sa mga opisyal yan, nangyayari yan sa pangkaraniwang tao. Pag minsan nag-aaway lang, nagsisiraan na sa Facebook, and so on. Babalikan ko lang po yung sinabi kanina ni Senator Pacquiao, because I think he had the right instinct. Gaya lang ng sabi niya, inawat niya lang yung sarili niya. Pero nung sinabi niya nga, nung merong pinost si Yusek Badoy na hindi niya nagustuhan, sabi niya, alam mo, sa totoo lang, nag-isip na akong maghabla. Pero dahil Kristiyano ako, inisip ko na lang na wag. Pero yung option to take legal action is there. And as we said from the very start, we believe that all the laws are in place. There is more than enough to protect our reputations and to protect our integrity and our privacies as necessary. And yun po sa tingin ko ang paulit-ulit nating sinasabi na mahalaga na masabi dito at maintindihan ng taong bayan. Sa dinami-dami ng problema natin sa Facebook, alam natin makabago to. Pero yung mga solusyon, actually matagal na dyan. Kailangan lang alamin natin yung karapatan natin, paglaban natin, and ultimately, I do believe that the recourse is in the, I think what we're saying is, the recourse is in the courts, but not in the legislature. Bring it to court. If you feel you've been libeled, if you feel you've been defamed, if you feel you have been slandered, then by all means, take it to court. And then let the court decide.
As much as possible, Madam Chair. Well, of course, that is the last recourse, no? But I was thinking, medyo baka magkaroon ng mas magandang approach. And just to remind everybody why, most of our press people or journalists do not realize perhaps that the reason they have the press freedom law is because of my grandfather. Kaya malapit sa loob ko yung journalism. Kaya ang tutuusin, ayoko talaga kayong awayin eh. Gusto ko nga kayong tulungan. As a matter of fact, I've already filed a new bill that will expand to them. Pinasa na nga, and Senator Grace po, the new Soto the Third Law. Imbis na yung Soto Law na rin, because sinama na yung broadcast. Sinama na kayo, mga social media. Kaya sinasabi na dito, baka ako makahanap ng ibang recourse. Remember, the Press Freedom Law was Republic Act 53, 1946. Ganun katindi yun. Kaya malapit sa kalooban ko itong issue na to. Kaya dapat yan, siguro we should try to police ourselves. Medyo gumamit naman tayo ng konting konsyensya or gumamit ng konting delikadesa. Basta nakakasira ka ng kapwa, alamin mo muna kung tama yung sinasabi mo o hindi. Baka hindi eh. Dahil kung totoo, okay lang. Okay lang siraan mo. Pero kung hindi totoo, aba, teka, wag naman. Dahil haharapin mo yan pag nandun ka na sa kabilang mundo. Thank you.
Thank you for putting it simply but quite clearly, Senator Soto, and Mr. Alampay also for your... I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Senate President, Senator Pimentel. Do you have any questions before I do my closing, sir?
I'm not here to attend the hearing.
He's here to remind me to wrap it up. So let me wrap it up.
Madam Chair,
yes.
Before we close, pwede ho ba sa next hearing, can we invite somebody from the ICT? Because I think very important itong ginagawa nilang draft for government officials when it comes to social media use.
I think that's a good suggestion, and we will certainly extend them an invitation. So, mga kasama, maraming salamat po sa inyong pagiging kalahok natin ngayong hapon. Noon ang mga chismoso at chismosa lang ang nagkakalat ng mga balita. Buti pa yon, napapagod at hindi ganon karami ang kapitbahay na pwedeng pagchismisan. Ngayon, daig ng fake news o ng mga balita ang naturang mga nagkakalat ng balita noon dahil isang click lang ay milyon-milyon na ang maaaring makaalam. The weaponization of social media certainly is a new development that the framers of our Constitution, even the most recent one in 1987, could not have foreseen. Parang hindi na tamang tawagin natin ang problema na ito na fake news. It is misinformation, it is disinformation, it is disrespect, perhaps. To misinform is to inadvertently share false information. To disinform is to deliberately create and share information known to be false. That is what experts termed as misinformation and the disinformation of our ecosystem. Bloggers, although they have a right to criticize, do not have the right to misinform. Opinions passed off as news are as deadly as lies. Lalo na kung public official pa. Public officials, by the nature of their functions, should expect public scrutiny the moment they step into office. Pwede nating kapalan ang ating mga balat pero hindi natin pwedeng gawin ang ating konsensya na ganon. Mismo sa RA 6713, sinasabi na to engage in the private practice of a profession unless authorized by the Constitution or law, provided that that practice will not conflict or tend to conflict with their official functions. Public office is a public trust. Dapat naman talaga napupuna ng mga mamamayan kaming mga naninilbihan. Bawal ang balat sibuyas sa serbisyo publiko at lalo ng bawal ang sinungaling. Hindi dapat tayo ang promotor ng misinformation at disinformation. Tayo dapat ang nangunguna sa pakikipaglaban dito. Ganun pa man, gusto man nating burahin ang lahat ng misinformation or disinformation, we should be very careful in trying to regulate or criminalize any speech. With fake news threatening our daily realities, I believe that legislative solutions exist. Isang mainam na solusyon ang edukasyon at patuloy na kampanya para sa tamang partisipasyon sa cyberspace. Media literacy is the best long-term solution, but it should not just be the government. We are grateful for all private entities, particularly those coming from the media that teach netizens how to distinguish real from false information. Titignan rin natin kung anong accountability ng mga kapangyarihan na pigilin ang fake news from the source, such as social media sites. Maybe we can ask from them more transparency in their procedure for takedown because ultimately it's their platform that dictates what to show or hide on our feeds. It's also time that we encourage people to use the existing laws and institutions like the NBI Cybercrime Division already in place. With technology, we can fight back abuses in technology. On this note, upon motion of Senator Pacquiao, we will issue subpoenas to Facebook, Google, and Mr. Kokoy Dayao. Also, from the suggestion of some of our resource persons, we will invite for our next hearing the two telecommunications providers, Globe and Smart, and upon the recommendation of Senator Nancy, we will invite the DICT. We need to look into setting parameters for official government platforms so that these can't be used as tools of hateful propaganda and misinformation. Guilty, both sides. Nakita natin where our heart is closest to, we tend to defend it. That's human nature, human emotion, but I guess we just need to remind ourselves to be more respectful. On the policy front, we continue to rely on online discourse to help us gauge public sentiment. As chairperson of the Committee on Public Information and Mass Media, I give my assurance that freedom of expression and the press will never be restrained in my committee. And I know that this body respects that as well with my colleagues. This is exactly why the issue on misinformation and disinformation is particularly crippling for us. As you know, the majority leader has mentioned that it is through his grandfather's law, and which we amended to be suitable to the times, that's why journalists, bloggers, and are now protected under the SHIELD law. At the end of the day, even if we hold different views, we should have a common standard here of decency, kindness, fairness, justice that should withstand any administration. On this front, the government should take the lead. We would like to extend our gratitude again to you. Unfortunately, I can't adjourn this hearing even if I wanted to. It is now suspended.
Inasawa nito ay namatay na.
Ganito po. Medyo complicated yung tanong. Complicated yung sitwasyon ng ating texter.
Complicated, di ba, attorney?
Kasi ang presumption ko dyan, 5 magkakapatid, 5 nanay. Pat, matindi, lover boy. Pag ganun ho, ang sistema, wala hong makukuha yung mga ano doon. Mga babae doon.
Yung mga nanay.
Mga nanay ho. Kung yan ho ang tinatanong ng ating texter.
Ang